Welcome to the Cover Two Men podcast.
Where two men cover stuff.
I'm Grant,
And I'm Bryce.
and today we have an episode for you because we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, one of the most comical, most interesting teams in the league, which is the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, they're like you said, comical. I mean, they have a decent team. They really have had a talented team for years. For the past few years. They just never can put it together. It doesn't matter what changes they make. They tried Michael Penix, not good. Now they bring in Tua. We don't know if he's gonna be good. I doubt it, considering he's one concussion away from death. I mean, he's just, yeah, I really don't think he's the solution to the problem. Has he been good? Yes, in his career. I just, I don't think he'll ever get back to that. No matter how good the rest of their team is, it seems like they just never can do anything with it.
Yeah, this team has been a quarterback away from doing anything for a while. Ever since Matt Ryan retired, they bring in Kirk Cousins on a huge contract just to draft a quarterback that same offseason. And then now that quarterback is benched and Kirk Cousins is shipped off to Las Vegas. So now they bring in Tua Tagovailoa, a quarterback that has struggled with concussions ever since his career started. And there are other positions that I just have to laugh at this team. I feel bad because my grandpa's a Falcons fan, so I have less hate for them than the Saints and the Buccaneers. But still, it's hilarious that one of your edge rushers that you drafted in the first round last year gets suspended, and the other one unfortunately tore their ACL. Now, that's not funny, like getting injured, but the fact that both of your first rounders are out for whatever reason is just hilarious to me. They have a very stacked team in a lot of positions. Running back, you got both of the B Robinsons, Bijan Robinson and Brian Robinson Jr. I think it's going to be hilarious how many fantasy managers draft Brian Robinson Jr. with the number one overall pick because they think it's Bijan Robinson. I just hope that happens. It did happen last year. They got Drake London and Zachariah Branch at the wide receiver position. I feel like Zachariah Branch can develop into that wide receiver two in this room. That besides the wide receiver room, I'd say is pretty empty because you got guys like Jahan Dotson, which was a first round pick back in 2022, but has definitely been underperforming in his career. And Olamide Zaccheaus, which is 29 years old, another wide receiver that hasn't really ever been a big name in the league, but has been decent. I feel like Zachariah Branch can become the wide receiver two in this room, but I would like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Zachariah Branch has been, he's good. He's pretty good for sure. I feel like out of the people they have, wide receiver two, he definitely should be able to take that role behind Drake London. Just because, like you said, it's not a very talented wide receiver core. Zachariah Branch is, I feel like, better than anyone else there, other than obviously Drake London.
Yeah, Zachariah Branch has been a wide receiver that I've liked just because my grandpa's also a Georgia fan. If you can't tell, my grandpa is from Atlanta, so the Falcons in Georgia he likes. Seeing Zachariah Branch go to the Falcons is just a move that I think is perfect. I think he can be a solid wide receiver too on this Atlanta Falcons team, and that's not even because it's an empty wide receiver room. While that does play a part in it, I feel like Zachariah Branch just himself can develop into a wide receiver too by his rookie year. I really do like that guy. But I think we need to go back to the quarterback room really quick because we talked about Tua Tagovailoa having concussions and Miles Penix Jr. not working out. Uh, but Jack Strand actually had an impressive game in the preseason against the Indianapolis Colts, going for 212 yards and a touchdown, having an 132.5 rating. That's crazy for a quarterback like him, who I'm pretty sure is a rookie this year, from a school that I think it's like an FCS school. I don't even know where he's from exactly, but he's listed as a fourth quarterback in the depth chart. Yeah, I think he might be able to make the roster. I guess, should we buy into the preseason hype? Should he be starting on this team?
Yeah, I really don't think that he should be starting necessarily. Like that's a stretch, but I don't stand like I know some people look at preseason like it's a real big deal. I don't think it doesn't matter, but I also don't think it matters a lot. considering he wasn't going against starters more than likely. But still, to put up numbers like that as a, hypothetical fourth string quarterback definitely should indicate and show to those coaches that he deserves a spot on this roster. Maybe being the quarterback three, maybe behind Tua and Michael Penix, and maybe eventually working his way up. I mean, who knows? Maybe give him a few years, he could eventually develop into the starter. Um, and who knows? Maybe Tua will get injured, and then Michael Penix will go in there and be awful, and he might get a chance. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Tua to get injured. He's gotten injured almost every single season of his career. More than likely, he will. And Michael Penix hasn't been good any season of his career, so he could get benched for a rookie who was the projected fourth quarterback on this roster, who could make this roster, and maybe he'll have a better season than anyone expected. I mean, it could be a Tyler Shuck situation, something like that. Just a guy who wasn't expected to be good, really, came into the league and showed that he was actually a solid quarterback.
Yeah, Jack Strand is a interesting guy to me because he is in a quarterback situation like Tyler Shuck, and I feel like we can make that Tyler Shuck comparison. Obviously, coming from a way less known college, I feel like Jack Strand is in a room where, yes, there are three quarterbacks listed ahead of him, but I feel like right now we can say he's better than Cooper Rush. Just where we're at right now in the season, Jack Strand is just interesting to me because this quarterback room for the Falcons does not have any players that I see being serviceable even because Tua Tagovailoa, if they can revive him back into the poor Pro Bowl quarterback he was. Speaking of that, as we're doing this podcast, the NFL has officially eliminated Pro Bowl games, so those won't be happening anymore. They
I didn't
can,
know that.
yeah, like I just got the notification. I was like, what?
I mean, they're kind of stupid anyway. Like Shadur Sanders is a Pro Bowler. I mean, that's kind of stupid.
Don't
And
disrespect
so
Tua
is Joe
Sanders.
Flacco. So is
Yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Feel like they did eliminate the Pro Bowl games so that the quarterbacks will like choose to be selected, and it's going to be like not something that deters people away from getting the Pro Bowl nomination.
So that means that there won't be any more Pro Bowl selections,
No, there
period.
will be
Like,
Pro Bowl selections, but they're not just going to play in a game anymore. Which, funny enough, it's like the 10-year transition from like a game that people actually tried in to now like just literally
it's
like
just
a
stupid.
nomination thing. It's just the decline of that. It's just upsetting. But I mean, at least we're gonna get good Pro Bowl nominations. This is not going to be like a random quarterback getting nominated just because nobody else wanted to do it. Let's get back to this quarterback room because we've been talking a lot about Jack Strand. I would like to see Michael Penix Jr. Thrive under this Falcons offense, which I feel like with Kevin Stefanski, maybe that's the thing that kind of unlocks Michael Penix and makes him a better
Yeah.
quarterback. I feel like the 10-year under Raheem Morris isn't how we should judge Michael Penix Jr. But Tua, he had Mike McDaniel as the head coach and still wasn't able to produce. Michael Penix Jr. just hasn't had a coach like Mike McDaniel to serve under. So I feel like the quarterback battle is more competitive than people think it is between the two. And I feel like Cooper Rush is probably going to get cut because let's just be honest, having a younger rookie be on the same perform at the same level as an older veteran, you want the younger rookie because the younger rookie can provide maybe a Tyler Shuck type situation to where he takes over this quarterback room with two quarterbacks that we don't know if they're actually going to be good or if they're actually going to win the Falcons any games. They have this awesome roster around him. I feel like if you put Jack Strand with those starters, because remember, he was playing against backups, but if you put him with Bijan Robinson and Drake London, I see him doing awesome things. And I guess hopefully we find out this season, but I'm not sure.
Tua maybe he won't get injured, considering he finally has a good O line to play behind. And when Tua wasn't concussed, he was a good quarterback. I don't think I think he's been had too many concussions to get back to that level. And plus he's always been known for being accurate, but he's never had a powerful arm. He's never had the best arm talent. He's just a very well, he doesn't have a strong arm, I'll say. He's accurate. So maybe the fact of him having a good O line will help him not get injured, and maybe he could be decent. But so going into that, their O line is definitely solid for sure compared to the Dolphins O line last year.
I hope that that Tua and Michael Penix do take advantage of this opportunity of having a stronger supporting cast around them. But also I feel like at the same time, like we saw plays and scenarios where the problem was the quarterback. I feel like we saw it with Tua and I feel like we saw it with Michael Penix last year. Well, I think they're both going to be better with this new and like awesome offense around them. I feel like at the same time they are not going to be Pro Bowl quarterbacks or, guys that can be startable. Because I feel like the problem also kind of lies within themselves. And I hope that they do good because honestly, I like Tua Tagovailoa as a person. I like Michael Penix Jr. as a quarterback. I rooted for him in Washington and stuff like that. I like both of those guys, but I feel like they're just not starting NFL caliber quarterbacks. But I mean, who knows? Because we saw Sam Darnold have his career be revived, and maybe an offense like this and a head coach like Kevin Stefanski is what's going to get them to reach their potential. We should move over to the I think defensive side of the ball because we kind of talked about a lot. I do like their offensive line with Jake Matthews, Jawan Taylor, Chris Lindstrom, and losing Drew Dalman to the Bears and having him retire. That whole thing throughout the past couple of years kind of sucks. But the line is not something that the Falcons need to worry about. I feel like their defense, on the other hand, there are some cool players on here like Jesse Bates, Xavier Watts, but also like they got Zadarius Smith starting, who's 33 years old, had three solo tackles last year and 1.5 sacks. Now, if I'm correct, he did play a shorter like season. He only played 5 games, but still. I feel like Zadarius Smith is way past his prime. And I mean, if we look at how many games he's played the past couple years, he played like practically a full season last year in 2024. But there were some seasons like in 2021 where he only was able to play like one game. He does have a big injury history that isn't like too concerning, but at the same time, once you start to get to this age, I don't see him being productive because of his past. But who knows? I mean, I think one contender for the funniest name contest, however, he's a starter, is Divine Diablo, linebacker for the Falcons. And I feel like we need to see a step up from him this year because he's 28 years old. He's kind of getting to this range where he's still a good linebacker, but also could be on the down end. After coming to the Falcons this last year, I feel like he did do really well, having 73 total tackles and overall just being a good player. Like not really, he doesn't have like a lot of missed tackles. I think he's a decent player overall. I feel like we need to see a step up from him though in this linebacker room that I don't think is that good. We're gonna need to see a step up from like everybody with Jalen Walker and James Pierce gone.
Yeah, one thing we can talk about that's really good about this defense is their cornerback room. Terrell, yeah, and his brother
Oh, Avion
is he
Terrell.
the is he
He's
cornerback too now? Avion
he's
Terrell?
like they have him as like a third string nickelback. I
Oh,
actually wonder
I thought he was start.
how good he's doing at training camp right now. But
Yeah, I
they
don't
have
know.
CJ Henderson. He was on the Panthers for a little bit, but I feel like CJ Henderson wasn't he wasn't meant to be a starter for Carolina just because of J.C. Horn's injuries. But I still think that I he's not really that reliable for the Falcons. He was a first round pick, and he went down to the Panthers as like a from Jacksonville as like a second string option. Wasn't really that good. Got burned a lot in times where the Panthers needed to not get burned so they can make it to the playoffs. He was not good. Um, but like having Avion Terrell, I feel like he can be that guy, like good depth for the Falcons. He missed a couple weeks of practice. They didn't really say what the injury was, but it feels like he will make the roster, and I think he should make the roster. And I feel like he can easily beat out a guy like CJ Henderson for this cornerback like kind of positioning, like where he gets put in the depth chart. But they also got a guy like Sidney Brown from the Eagles. I'm pretty sure he's from the Eagles. Let me know. Yeah, he just joined over to the Falcons from the Eagles, and last year he did play all the games. He was healthy the entire time, which is going to be solid for a guy that is depth. And so if like Xavier Watts gets out, they have a guy that is consistent. And he did have 17 solo tackles, 34 total tackles. He wasn't bad last year, but he's definitely declined throughout like compared to his rookie season. He's not the same, as he used to be. But the Eagles had him as a depth piece, and you saw how powerful their defense has been the past couple years. I think Sidney Brown can be a good, solid depth piece. He doesn't need to be that guy for them. And also, they're bringing in from the Eagles as well, Azeez Ojulari, which definitely is not the same as what he was. He played 3 games last year, but he has not had a full season since his rookie year, which he did like really well his rookie year. But this year, like the past couple years, he's not the same. He'll be a good depth piece as well, though. I'm excited to see who makes the 53-man roster on this defense because they got a lot of guys that I've heard of before. For example, Jamie Robinson's fighting for a roster spot on this Falcons team. He was in the Falcons last year, but he was originally on the Panthers. We drafted him. He was supposed to be like the Lathan Ransom we have right now, but unfortunately, that didn't really work out for him. He ended up, I think, I thought he went to the Commanders, but I guess he went to the Falcons. It's going to be cool to see who all makes this 53-man roster. Would you like to
Yeah.
run us through the schedule?
So first, I want to talk about opening week. I feel like this is going to be a tough game for them, and I know it's the Steelers. And I'm not when I say that I'm not saying the Steelers are a good team. In my opinion, I don't think it would matter who they were playing. I think they could be playing the Jets week one, it would be a tough week for them. And I say that because they don't know who their starting quarterback is. They have to get a feel for it. And honestly, I think their best bet week one against the Steelers would be to, you know, obviously whoever's done better in practice. But if they put, let's say, Tua in there at starting and he's not doing good, then put Michael Penix in there. And I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like that's something they should do because they just need to see who's going to play better for them because they don't know who their starter is.
Yeah, and that's
Have,
why it also hurts that like Michael Penix isn't going to be playing the last preseason week for them. I mean, we got to see more Jack Strand, see if it's just like overblown hype for him. But like they need as many reps as they can in this preseason for both Michael Penix and Tua. I'm not sure if Michael Penix not playing in the last preseason is because like of an injury or something, but they need as many reps as they can get to really figure out like which one's the better quarterback between the two.
yeah. Um, so let's say they do somewhat figure out their quarterback situation and they pick one of them that can play competent. Then I feel like week one and two are going to be good games and both games that they could come away with the victory. But, you know, it's still going to be good games. Then you got week three against the Packers. I really don't see them beating the Packers, and all bias aside, I mean, I just I'm not saying this because I'm a Packers fan, but just overall talent is just not as good. We have a quarterback figured out. We have a running back figured out. I mean, they do too, obviously, but I'm just saying overall, we have most things on our team figured out. The fact of them not having a quarterback figured out is just a big question to have. So, um, I don't think they're going to beat the Packers, but I'm not trying to jinx it or anything, of course. But I feel like first two games are maybes. And then week three, probably not. Then you got the Saints. I feel like that's going to be a good game. Honestly, I feel like they could definitely come away with the victory in this one, and that's because of their defense and how good their secondary is. I feel like their secondary might carry this game a little bit, um, considering that the Saints receiving core is going to be weak, since it'll only be consisting really of Chris Olave, since Jordan Tyson's already injured, and so this could definitely be a good game. Then you got the Ravens. I really can't see them beating the Ravens. I know the Ravens had a down year last year, but I just still can't see it talent wise. They're just not as good. Then the Bears, probably the same thing, but we have seen the Bears defense not be the greatest. And there's been some some talk about that the Bears defense is going to be even worse than it was last season, and it really wasn't even that great last season other than turnovers. So they may come away with this one. Hopefully they do. Um, Especially as a Packers fan. I hope they beat them 100-0. So then we move on to week 7 and 8 and let's see. Honestly, 7 through 12 could kind of be categorized in the same thing. The 40 other than the like all tough games, really. Actually more like 7 through 10. All of these are tough games. It's going to be hard for them to win these games with an exception of maybe the Buccaneers. But the 49ers are good if they stay healthy. That's going to be a tough game. Buccaneers, that's probably winnable. The Bengals' insane offense is going to be hard for them to beat. And then the Chiefs, if they're back in normal Chiefs form, that's going to be hard. Then you got the bye week, a pretty late bye, fairly late. Then you have the Vikings. That's a winnable game. But honestly, the Vikings and the Falcons are very similar teams. They have pretty decent defenses with decent O lines and decent to good receivers. The only different or there's really no difference honestly because the only difference is that the Vikings did choose their quarterback, but they still have questions at the quarterback room, both of them. So that's really going to be a good game because those teams are almost identical. Then you have the Lions. That's going to be a hard game for them to win. Browns, they should win that one. Commanders, they should win it. Buccaneers, they're going to beat at least once, in my opinion. Saints, they're going to beat at least once. And then the Panthers, I think they'll probably beat at least once, too, maybe. But they'll probably end up getting swept by one team. I don't really know which one it would be, but more than likely they'll get swept by one team. But that's kind of their schedule. They play quite a few good teams, so they don't have an easy schedule, that's for sure.
Yeah, I really do like the I guess the way the Falcons are kind of set in this division. Now, Bryce Young usually plays really well against the Falcons. However, I would like to point out they did sweep the New Orleans Saints last year. So it's like the Saints can sweep the Panthers last year, though they did. The Panthers swept the Falcons last year, and the Falcons swept the Saints. So it's like kind of like a rock paper scissors shoe in the NFC South that we got going on. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. I feel like everyone kind of counts the Falcons out, but if they can get a competent quarterback and James Pierce comes back, maybe the ACL tear isn't too bad for Jalen Walker. I know it's like he's definitely not coming back, but if there's a slight chance he does, this team can be pretty solid. And I feel like they have the pieces to make a playoff run. They just need a solid quarterback, which just feels like is the same scenario for the Falcons every single year. Is they got everything around the quarterback except for an actual good quarterback. So it'll be exciting to see where
Yep.
they actually finish. Where do you think their floor and ceiling is going to be?
I think they have a really low floor, honestly. I'm going to put their floor at
They play a crazy tough schedule. Like I don't see a bottom. I feel like the
honestly
worst team
three
is
3-15. And I know that's crazy, but just because of the amount of good teams they play, I'm going to say their floor is 3-15.
3-15 is not a record. Like two and
Oh yeah.
15, 3-14.
Ye- I mean 3-14. Yeah. Sorry. 3 and
Yeah, you're good.
14
You're good.
is that's what I was meaning. And then their ceiling 9-8, honestly. I don't see them doing any better than 9-8, really. With the tough schedule, give them an easier schedule. Maybe they could make the playoffs. And in the NFC South, maybe they still can with 9-8 or 8-9 record, just considering how shaky the NFC South is. But yeah, their ceiling I really don't think is any more than 9-8.
Yeah, the South has definitely the NFC South has a tough schedule because they play like at least hypothetically because they play eight teams that like they play the NFC North, which is like a bunch of teams that are uh like really all pretty good. They all finished with winning records last year. We don't know who's going to be good and who's not. Like even Kyler Murray and the Vikings could be a good team. And then they go to the AFC North, which is like practically the same thing, except we kind of know Cleveland isn't going to be that good, especially with Deshaun Watson starting. If y'all want a Shedeur Sanders video, and me talking about Shedeur Sanders and the Deshaun Watson thing, I'm thinking about doing that, just giving my thoughts on that because I don't think the Browns are going to go anywhere. But like aside from that, they play seven teams last year that could legitimately like at least make the playoffs probably six because I don't think the Steelers are going to be that good. But the Falcons could probably win their first two games, like you were saying. Carolina gets off to a slow start, and Pittsburgh, they did play Pittsburgh week one 2 years ago, and Chris Boswell scored all the points for the Steelers. It was like an 18-10 win by the Steelers, and Chris Boswell kicked six field goals. So if the Falcons are better than that, I feel like they can make some bigger moves in the South. I feel like it's going to come down to the division games because all four teams play pretty tough schedules, except for the Saints. I feel like they have the easiest one by far. But if they can get some good division wins, we could see the Falcons in this NFC South title conversation. Thank you, Bryce, for joining us in the podcast. It was fun talking about the Falcons, and we got one more team. So tune in next time for the final team, my Carolina Panthers. This is the Cover Two Men.